Jack Grealish and Foden having a few drinks after the 7-0 thumping of Leeds. Thereafter, pitched up for a warm down, were dropped for the Newcastle game. And Pep decided, no, they weren't in a fit state for the warm down. So that's why they were dropped. Pep none too happy. Simon Jordan, as only Simon can do, described Jack yesterday as a moron. I know Jack pretty well, I think. I said, Simon, that's a bit over the top. Moron is not right, but it appears that almost every listener, it appears that almost every viewer on YouTube and Facebook says, forget that. Simon's on the money. He's spot on. These guys are privileged and they should know a lot better. Trevor, we may as well take them. Terry is a big Aston Villa fan. Terry, good morning.
Morning, Terry.
Hi, guys. Great show, as always.
Thanks,
Terry. First of all, I want to thank Manchester City for the 100 million that they gave us because first of all, we had Holiday Gate, then we had Flip-Flop Gate, now we've got Moron Gate. He even tried to go from midfield to ATAC, and even that didn't work for him. So, you know, it's a disaster waiting to happen. We dodged a bullet, and thanks for the 100 million, City. That's all I can say.
Do you honestly believe that, Terry? I mean, you know, when he was with you, you would be supporting him week in, week out, non-stop. And, you know, now he's at another club. I mean, the bottom line is Trevor's saying they are still young. He's 26, Foden just 21, 22. I mean, should they be cut a bit of slack, or are you not having that?
No, not having it. I mean, there's other players. There's other players. England. You look at the England squad. Some of the lads in the England squad, and some of the ones trying to push through. You hear nothing. You hear no trouble from them at all. They just get on with their job. There's plenty of time for all this sort of shenanigans later on. Don't forget, it's a short career. Once that short career is over, he's got plenty of times when he drops down. Because eventually, at some point, he will drop down from the high level he's at.
Yeah.
He can do things like this in the background and not get noticed later on.
Okay, Terry, so you disagree with your Villa legend, Gabriel Bonlahor. He thought Simon was out of line.
No, not at all. I'm totally behind Simon. I totally agree with what he's saying.
Okay, Terry, listen, thanks for the call, mate. Danny's a big Manchester United fan. Danny, good morning.
Good morning, Trevor. Good morning,
Morning,
Simon.
Danny.
Morning, Danny. Was this truly moronic behaviour? What do you think?
It's bad behaviour, and Simon's right to call it out. And I appreciate Trevor trying to sneak up for a professional player. But what I was going to say to Simon is, I think Simon's too long in the tooth to be calling people names. I think disappointing is probably the right thing to say. But nevertheless, he's got to be called out for it. I mean, the world is struggling. My partner wanted to go out for a meal, and I reprimanded her for trying to do that. Now, could you imagine on the other side of it, if they were given the opportunity and they actually turned around publicly and said, no, we're not going to go out because we want to protect our team and family members like a unity, like it should be.
Danny,
here's Trevor.
Danny, Simon's not actually bothered about the pandemic. He's more bothered about the behaviour. Now, I look at it. They beat Leeds 7-0. They're on fire. They've not got a game for 5 days. The gaffer said that you can go out and have a drink. Now, obviously, culturally, he might not understand that going out and having a drink as a player in this country and going out having a couple of glasses of wine in Spain might be different. But the boys, obviously, they've had a good night. They've come in a little bit worse for wear. But they're only they might only go for a swim. They might only go on a bike for 15 minutes. I actually don't see what the big problem is. Now, I understand Pep's not happy. He got a call. He was in Barcelona. He's got a call about this. And he said these two are not fit for purpose. And from that, they've ended up getting dropped from this. I think that's enough. I think they've been punished enough. They'll learn from it. And next time, they might not have another bottle of wine or whatever they had. And they'll come in a better state.
But he's giving them the opportunity. He's giving them the opportunity to sort of show a little bit of like seniority as senior players and make the right decision. I mean, whether you go for a couple of glasses of wine or 10 pints of beer, they're aware of the situation. I mean, they're not. They might get everything else done for them, but they're aware of what they have to do.
Of course they are.
Surely have to be. They have to be held accountable for it.
That's the very point of it, Danny. And whilst I'm still reeling from the long in the tooth comment, I will push back and say, if you've got a history, if you do something once, then you put it. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Yeah. Right? If you keep repeating the same behaviour, I don't know what other. Okay, the word moron is strident, But it is moronic behaviour. Jack Grealish is probably a charming, lovely young man, right? But I'm not talking about his character. I'm not attacking his personality. I'm talking about his behaviour. It's moronic behaviour in that instance. Once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. We're getting into the territory.
Yeah, exactly. And it's continuous. He keeps doing it.
So,
Yeah,
but
there is a pattern, but I don't think he's actually done anything.
If you
too bad
keep
this
doing
time.
something really stupid, the definition of stupidity is a moron. So I couldn't really think of another word, and I wasn't trying to be controversial or overly strident. That's the word that springs to mind when somebody is a consistent recidivist that keeps on doing the same thing and drawing the wrong headlines. He's at the biggest club.
Of
course it is.
Well, shout now, please, for Anthony's club, and Anthony's a Manchester City fan. Anthony, good morning.
Morning, Jim. Morning, Simon.
Morning.
Morning, Anthony.
You happy about your £100 million signing being called a moron by Mr. Jordan?
I wouldn't say I'm happy, but I'm not unhappy either. I do agree with what Simon's saying, and I agree completely with what Trevor's saying as well. Simon, do you remember a couple of weeks ago, or even a couple of days ago, you used the word goblin, and you tend to use that word quite a lot.
Which word was it?
Goblin.
Yeah, in relation to Jim.
Quite love that when you say it. I probably would accept it more if you used that word rather than moron. But listen, it wasn't just Jack, as we all know, it was Phil as well. The way that people were just pointing it all on Jack, just because it's not a history of it, you know, there was 2 of them at
Oh, no. We did. I did say something about Phil Foden as well. But it took off because of the conversation went away with Jack Grealish because he's the £100 million signing. But Foden is a twit as well, isn't he? I mean, a year ago he's been pulled out of the England setup for behaving poorly. A year later, you know, he's being a nitwit again. I mean, you can't think of any other way of saying it. We praise these boys, we build them up. They've got to have the flip side of it. Otherwise, you don't build character in these young men.
Poor old Anthony is away now trying to digest the fact that you've called Foden a twit.
But Goblin's okay, apparently.
Is Goblin all right?
He said Goblin was okay.
Are you prepared to swap moron for Goblin as we get to 10:30?
No, the Goblin one has been reserved for you. You're the Caledonian Goblin, aren't you?
Yeah. You see, I did nothing to merit that, but there we go. Are you not taking back the word moron on Jack?
I think it's a very strong piece of language. I think it's very expressive. I think it conjures up images, and I think it's the right language because I think this sort of behaviour needs to be called out. And whilst I think it's a storm in a teacup, I think Jack Grealish needs to grow up and understand that all his Christmases have come at once.
Just before we go to 10:30, Simon, sort this out for me and settle this once and for all. Keon says you've got one. Do you have an agenda against players because of the sizable paychecks that they receive?
I want people to be paid what they're worth and worth what they're paid. I want people to behave accordingly with the opportunity that they have. Yes, I've had bad experiences, but if I didn't like football, I wouldn't be sitting on a radio station out of choice talking about a sport that I was involved in.
I mean, Bonhorse says you wake up angry because of what happened to you at Palace.
I mean, Gabby's opinion to me
I think it's unreasonable. You expect footballers to be robots.
No, I
they're
don't.
creative people.
No, I don't.
They're in the entertainment business. They go out, they entertain.
I don't expect that.
At times, they let a little bit of steam off,
and
especially
I expect
what we're going through. They weren't training the next day. They're having a warm down.
Ask the players that
Trevor,
ask the players that played for me what they think of my attitude towards their ability to be able to go out and let steam off. But there is a line, and you expect behaviour from players. It becoming of the professional sportsmen that they are, and you understand that they're 21, 22, 23-year-old, 19-year-old kids. You balance that off in your mind. Yeah. But what happens in football is you've got a liberty culture, and a liberty becomes the norm, and then what happens is it becomes an outrage, and then you've got to stop it. So the best thing to do is lay down standards and say, this is what I expect. I'm going to be fair and equitable. I'm going to give you the balance of. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt, but don't take the mickey out of the situation.
Yeah. Okay.
This is what certain players are doing.
Well, if we didn't know it before, we know it now. Jack's a moron, Foden's a twit, and I'm a goblin.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Thursday morning 10 till 1 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.